Hi, I'm Jimmy. In this video, we're looking at different leading economic indicators to see how strong the US economy is today. So we're going to go through our classic bull versus the bear analysis. And luckily, over on the Investors Grow website, well, we actually built the ability for you to use your own, to develop your own economic scorecard. So when we jump over to the indicator section of the Investors Grow website, well, we can see a bunch of leading economic indicators. Well, good economic indicators that are sort of the biggest ones. But if you want to search up here, you could always search for whatever one you want. There's a ton in the system. So if we jump over and click on this scorecard here, well, this lets us look at whatever economic indicators we want. These are my default economic indicators that historically have done a good job of proving whether or not the economy is in a good position or a bad position. So let's scroll down here and click Begin Analysis, and we'll go through and look at each of the leading economic indicators. So for inflation, well, you can see here that it actually defaults to a 20-year chart. I think a chart like this, a chart like inflation, it's far better to look at it from a bigger picture perspective. Instead of comparing it to last month's numbers or even last year's, well, how does it look relative to the long-term history? Well, we can see that right now it's about 2.7%. So compared to the long-term average, it's a bit on the high end. It's probably a bit better than it's probably a bit worse than we'd like for it to be. Higher is worse in this scenario. It's probably little bit worse than we'd like for it to be, but it's not that bad. 2.7% is not too terrible. So I probably got to go with the neutral point here. So when we click up on the neutral box here in the middle, well, that saves our score. And that now the next economic indicator that we had saved before, that loads up. Okay, now this economic indicator is wage growth. This one's a little bit weird. Again, 20-year chart, we want to look at long-term. And the number's a little over 3%. That's better than inflation. So in theory, that's good. But looking at the longer-term chart, it looks like recently, over the past couple of years, it's kind of been trending a little bit lower, which is clearly not a great thing. But when we compare it to let's say its longer-term average, when we draw a horizontal line here to see how it's compared to the 20-year average, well, compared to the average, it's actually looking fairly good right now. So, I mean, I hate to cop out on this one. It's really not great. It's not too bad. I got to go neutral again. I think, once again, as much as I hate to cop out twice in a row, we got to go up and click on the neutral point here and lock this in. So the way this works, by the way, is as you click on the different scores, so you click on bull, bear, or neutral, it saves it. And at the end, it's going to show us our scorecard. Okay, so let's lock in our neutral score. And now we're looking at housing. So this is a chart for housing starts. Basically, how many new housing structures are being built? How many permits are they going out and getting all that stuff? Again, we're looking at this chart from a long-term perspective. And I know it seems kind of like I'm copping out and going with a lot of neutrals here. And feel free to let me know in the comments below if you think that the score should be at all different. But in my view, it kind of looks like this should be another neutral point, right? It's kind of drifting lower recently. Not doing too great, but it's not too low either. Too low is bad, obviously. A booming housing economy generally leads to a booming broader economy. So this pulling back is, let's say, the early signs of a bearish point. But for now, I think we got to go neutral. Okay, now let's jump over and look at the employment situation. So when we jump over and look at the employment situation, this is the U3 unemployment rate. Now here, again, longer-term chart is better. To me, this is the first clear one, despite there's been a lot of, let's say, noise recently about unemployment ticking up, and obviously that could be a problem. But looking at the actual numbers, it hasn't really happened yet. In fact, if we compare the current level of unemployment compared to the chart over the past 20 years, I mean, it looks pretty good. Right now, unemployment, we'll see where it goes in the future. But for now, I think it makes sense to keep mark unemployment down as our first bullish point. But sadly, that bullish point almost immediately goes away when we get to auto loan delinquency. So on the Investors Grow website, we have different delinquency rates, auto loan delinquencies and credit card delinquencies. I checked the credit cards. I actually didn't include that one in this scorecard because to me, it's the same theory twice that I wouldn't want to double count. But I checked the chart. It looks very similar to this. I chose auto loan delinquency because I figure if you're running into financial problems, you probably stop paying your credit cards first. Then you stop paying your car. Then you stop paying your mortgage. So these are people that are late on their car payments, this is very clearly a sign for the bears. I mean, look at this current level compared to the history. So that's an easy point for the bears. Okay, now let's have a look at manufacturing. So this is the ISM Manufacturing Economic Indicator. The key level here is 50. Anything below 50 implies negative growth in the manufacturing sector. Anything above 50 implies positive growth. It's really that simple. Well, you can see we got a line there about 50, and it's been below it for a little while. So this is clearly a bad sign for the manufacturing sector. Manufacturing sector is in fact shrinking right now. So clearly this is going to be a point for the bears. Okay, now we're on to consumer confidence. Now, personally, I think that there is no economic indicator more important than consumer confidence. The US consumer has driven the US economy for a long time. For as long as America has been the leading global economy, it's been the consumer that has been driving it. And we are at a bad point right now. I mean, right now, we are at one of the lowest levels that we've been at in the past 20 years. This is below where we were after the financial crisis, the recession 2008, 2009, that whole time period. This is lower than it is right now. So this is very obviously a point for the bears, but it's also a real bad thing to consider. Like, it's the consumer being this shaken, I think, is a real problem. Okay, now we're on to the yield curve or the yield spread. This is actually a chart. This is a chart of the 10-year minus the 2-year yield spread. The most important level here is 0. You want this number to be positive. Anything above 0 implies a positive yield curve. Anything below 0 implies a negative yield curve. To illustrate what I'm talking about, let's jump over to the Investors Grow section of the website. And this is an actual yield curve. This is the Treasury yield curve as of the most recent trading day, so a couple days ago. And the trick here is you want this to be upward sloping, right? You want the short-term rates to have a lower interest rate than long-term rates. If you think about it, it's kind of logical that longer-term rates, if you're going to lend somebody money, if we're going to lend the US government money, I expect to get paid more for locking up money longer. Well, a normal yield curve like we see here where it's drifting higher has always been tied to a decent economy. When it goes negative, when the short-term rates are higher than the long-term rates, that implies a bad sign for the economy. So now when we jump back to our chart, well, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Technically, right now, this is a positive thing for the broader economy because it is positive, because the number is above 0. But historically speaking, when the yield curve goes negative, when the number's below 0, like we see in this chart, well, typically within 12 to 18 months is when you generally see a recession. Now, I will point out, not every inverted yield curve leads to a recession, but for like the past 100 years or something, every recession has been preceded by an inverted yield curve. Right now, the yield curve is positive. That's a good sign. But it was recently negative. That's kind of a bad sign. Now, maybe because I'm an optimist, but for me, I could easily argue that this could be a neutral point, but I'm trying to stay away from the neutrals if possible. So because it is in fact positive right now, I got to give this point to the bulls. But again, let me know if you disagree with how you're scoring that one. Okay, now we're at the S&P 500. Now this is a 1-year chart. We shorten this one up. You look at a 20-year chart, it doesn't really give you a lot of information. It's gone up for 20 years with a few hiccups here and there. But a 1-year chart gives us a little more information. Now, the S&P 500 is not really an economic indicator, but they do say that the stock market tends to be forward-looking. So I think it makes sense to kind of include it as an economic indicator. And we can see that earlier in the year, we did in fact have a pretty big pullback. There was a lot less clarity at that point. There was a lot less clarity about what was going to happen with the economy and where things were going to go with the tariffs, things like that. So there was a decent pullback. Again, the market is forward-looking. Since then, it's clearly done quite well. Now, we could argue that perhaps this is happening. Perhaps it's running super high because, all the technology companies are spending obscene amounts of money on AI and all of that stuff. But either way, if the stock market is forward-looking, it's done fairly well. I mean, look at the chart. This has to be an obvious point for the bulls. So when we jump over and we click the point for the bulls, well, we can see that we now land on our final scorecard here. So we can see when we look at our final scorecard here, we actually end up fairly neutral, right? 3 points in each column. And the real question is, do we want to invest now or do we want to wait for the stock market to crash? With it being as neutral as it is, I don't think it makes a ton of sense to wait for a market pullback. I'm not sure a market pullback is imminent. Surely there will be a market pullback at some point, but is it in 3 months? Is it in 3 years? We don't really know. And because of that, I think it's far smarter here as investors, as value investors, to stay opportunistic. Look for good value opportunities. Yes, some of the stock market has done extraordinarily well. And we saw the chart on the S&P 500. Well, that has largely been driven by the largest companies out there. But there's a bunch of companies that haven't done nearly as well that we could pick up for a value now. Look at ones that are trading at a discount to their own historical, let's say their own historical PE multiple or something like that. I think that's where the real opportunity is. Buy value stocks now. And then if we buy them on sale now, if there is a pullback in a market, well, it's the expensive stocks that are likely to see the big pullback. It's not likely to be the stocks that were already on sale. Sure, they'll pull back some, but they shouldn't pull back nearly as much. When the market recovers, we should do fairly well. Our portfolios should do fairly well. Now, you got to let me know if you would have used different economic indicators. And if you come over and sign up on the Investors Go website, well, you can share this economic scorecard with us. We have our private investing community over on Discord, and we do 3 live streams a week over there. One of them is about building portfolios, things like that. So if you would have done this scorecard a little differently, or maybe you would have gone further, maybe do more economic indicators, things like that. Well, feel free to come over to Discord, share your scorecard with us. I'm real curious to see what people come back with, and share your investing ideas with the community. We do a lot of idea swapping, and we do different research live streams where we do deep dives on different companies, things like that. So again, if you want to sign up to get access to the Investors Go website, I'll leave a link right here, link in the description below. And thank you so much for sticking with me all the way to the end of the video. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.